Okay, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with Takashi Miike, if that's how you say his name, or Takashi Miike, however it's pronounced. But I finally got to see 13 Assassins. Really, really simple sort of, plot, where you have a very evil lord who is on his way to become a member of the Shogun Council that'll probably make life for most people absolutely horrible and miserable. When you first meet this guy, he's doing things that, let's just say, are deplorable. I won't give anything away, but he's very much into torturing people and these people's target practice. So 12 samurai get together and said, you know what, we have to defeat this guy. We have to find some sort of way to take this guy out and to kill him, to remove him from power, period. They actually hatch a plan on a pretty good spot where to do this in. They know where they're going to go to try to catch this guy and try to defeat him. So it was on their way. They have a couple of minor skirmishes here and there. And then you probably I said 12, but it's called 13 Assassins. They did pick up a 13th one. A ridiculously crazy highwayman who, when they're all fighting with swords and one guy's using a spear, he essentially is fighting with like rocks on strings. And he is ridiculous. I think in almost every one of these movies you need that one really crazy guy to just throw in small amounts of comic relief and to just be absolute mayhem. So the 13, for about the last hour of this movie, it is almost a non-stop fight. And this is probably easily some of the absolute best sword fighting I have ever seen. Period. You can tell that most of these scenes are being done in like one long continuous take. Because you can tell that what you're seeing part of a fight in the background, and then you'll see the camera like pan to that fight, pan back to the other fight, and as they're doing the transitions, the fight is still going on everywhere. So I have a feeling that when this was being filmed, there was probably what looked like an absolute massacre happening in this village. And just watching one person defeat like 10, 15 people. And the nice thing is these people don't come off at all superhuman. When they get hit, they get really tired. When they have moments where there's breaks in the fight, they're breathing heavy. They're actually getting really exhausted. You can tell this is primarily running off pure adrenaline. And then it comes down to some of those final confrontations. Again, you've got great sword work. And they also use a decent amount of the philosophy that comes along with being a samurai. You have a soliloquy between, like, you have this beautiful monologue, a soliloquy with one person talking. You have a soliloquy, of course, towards the very end of the movie, but you also have this, when the main evil lord is taking on the main hero of the story. They're back and forth about, what it means to be a ruler, and you're below me, you're my servant. You can only rule because there are people who are below you. This whole structure is based upon you being on the top, and you're on the top with their support from the bottom. And it's just to have that level of dialogue, knowing that one of the two of you is probably going to not walk away from this confrontation. And that's what makes this just really, really just a phenomenally well done movie. Again, it's just Takashi Miike, so you are going to see a lot of brutality. You just see a lot less torture. The torture happens pretty early on to give you an indication of how evil the main villain is. But then it comes down to the fighting that they've got. When the movie's done and they're doing like the pan through the area, and streams are running red with blood, the ground is stained with blood, people's clothes are just soaked, like they're walking in dripping blood, because just when you go through a fight of this sort of magnitude, and it's people using swords and spears and rocks, and there's a scene where a guy pretty much bludgeons a guy to death, and the way they do it is you get to see it through the eyes of somebody who's dying. So the camera's not facing like this, because the guy's laying down like this, so you see the fight from this angle. So as opposed to the ground being here and everything being here, no, the ground is now what you're seeing is the whole bottom. So it's not just down here with everyone standing, it's here, and you're only seeing bits and pieces of what's going on around him. and this was done just so phenomenally well. This is probably one of the best movies I can safely say I have seen in a long time. So if you've got the stomach to watch a relatively uber violent battle sequence that stretches the better part of an hour, yeah, the last hour is pretty much almost a non-stop battle with little breaks every now and then, but it's pretty much an hour-long fight. By all means, you have to pick up 13 Assassins.